do, folks? It's your boy, Charles Younger here, and thank you for tuning in to Maryland Terrapins Live. Ignore that is our automatic dog feeder. As my wife likes to comment on our dogs, telling them to come to mama. But like I said, thank you for tuning in to Maryland Terrapins Live at the Voice of College Football. I am your host, Charles Younger, and this is Maryland Terrapins Live on the Voice of College Football Network. You can follow me across all social media platforms at Charles Younger. That's CharlesNYonga. You can see it right there in the lower third. And like I said, you can catch Maryland Terrapins Live on your favorite audio platform, including Apple, Amazon, Google, and Spotify. The Voice of College Football is all new on Twitter. I refuse to call it X. Join our ongoing conversation with you about the game we love. There is no off season. We also encourage you, our hosts, to interact with our conversations as far as on X. Today's going to be an interesting little show, as there is not much news in the world of college football because spring practice is coming up soon. Spring game is on April 26th. But today there was a pro day for Maryland Terrapins football players. We want to talk about that a little bit too. And we're going to go through the final games of the season, games 9 through 13 for the Maryland Terrapins. But first off, I want to talk a little bit about March Madness because I don't know about you, but my brackets are pretty much busted. Long story short, Florida blew it. Houston blew it. I do have 3 of my Final Four intact, which is UConn, Arizona, and Michigan. The Big Ten has been very disappointing in college basketball this year. That's right. Jackson Johnson, what is up, Terps Nation? Right now, we'll talk a little bit about, like I said, March Madness. My Terps men's team did not make the tournament. My women's team got bounced pretty early, but we expected that because the women's team, the women's bracket has been tough from top to bottom. My Final Four is still intact for the ladies, with all 4 number 1 seeds remaining in South Carolina, UConn, UCLA, and Texas. So before we get into Maryland football, how are your brackets looking? What's going on with your brackets? How's things going on with you guys? We had your Final Four still intact. Who blew it big for you? For me, it's Florida. I have Florida going pretty far. Let me go back to my bracket. I have Florida, UConn, Final Four. So they lost, right? Florida lost in the what round did they lose into? The second round? The third round, excuse me. Yeah. No, sorry. Lost in the second round to Iowa. Old letters. One word. Sucked. Actually, that's 6 letters, but sucked. But let's talk about this bracket. How your brackets looking? Men's brackets, women's brackets. Mine are looking pretty solid. Women's bracket. I guess I still have all my Final Four. I do have half of my Elite 8. All my Final Four. I don't think I have enough points to win it all because I picked the wrong early. But it is what it is. That's why it's called March Madness. And also, what I want to talk about speaking of March Madness is, can college football capture the magic, the passion, the magic, the passion, the unpredictability of how March Madness works out for in college basketball? Because this tournament has been off the chain with some of the craziest upsets. I think you remember hearing me talk about last week where I had that one heck of a parlay where I picked ECU, VCU, Louis, Texas, and what's the fifth one? High Point. All in the first round games. Which said it's got to be a little change. But do you think we think that college football can capture that kind of excitement that these tournaments? I know the fact that the have-nots in college football a little bit more spread out, excuse me, are more. Or there's a little more to have more opportunities to compete because you're JMU and Tulane across the tournament. JMU was pushing against Oregon, but they obviously were outclassed. Tulane did not play well against Ole Miss. But is the mid-majors or the mid-majors or the smaller schools who will make the tournament? When will one of those schools be like a VCU or a Howard that's a blue blood, a well-known competitor in the college football ranks? Will we ever see like I said, a JMU who had put up 30-something points against Oregon? Will we see them when you say upset, say Oregon or a OSU or Alabama or Georgia? When that finally happens, you might be able to say, hey, that's when college football playoff has made it to the level of excitement that basically tournament basketball has become. That whole month of March where everyone's invested, whether you put money down or you back or not, everyone is tuned to the TV saying, oh my God, is this team going to fall to what's this school from wherever? Like, oh my goodness. So just talk about what's going to happen with the college football tournament for next year. I believe it's still staying at 12 teams this year. It might go to 16 the following year, but right now it's going to still stay at 12. So the format's going to be interesting, even though Notre Dame gets basically like a nipple baby exemption. Like, we're Notre Dame. We're but that's another argument. Already to go on a 2-hour rant about why Notre Dame is just a dang on thing in this tournament. But like I said, what do you folks think about the possibility of the college football playoff somehow getting that magic, getting that sizzle, if you will, of like opening weekend of March Madness. I know people used to go to Vegas on a weekend trip on an opening day, March Madness, which is basically St. Patrick's Day holiday. And we go to Vegas at a good time, March Madness, boom, boom. But will college football ever get that excited? And moving to this topic, like I said, you can follow Maryland Terrapins live on your favorite audio platform, including Apple, Amazon, Google, and Spotify. The Voice of College Football is all new on Twitter. So join our ongoing conversation with the game we all love. There is no off-season. We are encouraged by you to engage with our hosts to interact with our conversation starters on Twitter. Like I said, I refuse to call it X because that is the dumbest name in the world. The only time I was talking about X is when X is going to give it to you. So, up next, I also want to talk about a little bit about what we also have going on in the West Coast Football Network, and that is Mark Rogers' putting together a list of all-time Big Ten stats list. So he's going to do a show about it. He's going to talk about all conference stuff. He's going to talk about when the teams join the leagues. For example, the Big Ten has 18 teams now. Big Ten 18 teams. The math ain't math in there. So, for example, Illinois, Michigan, Minnesota, Northwestern, Purdue, Wisconsin are all OGs of the Big Ten, founding in 1896, followed by Wisconsin Wisconsin also 1896, followed by Indiana, Iowa in 1899, then Ohio State in 1912, Michigan State in 1950, Penn State in 1993, Nebraska in 2011, Maryland joined. Wow, 2014. Maryland's been with the Big Ten for 12 years. That is crazy. Now time flies when you not realize it. And then we also had, Rutgers joined in 2014. Then 2 years ago we had USC, UCLA, Oregon, and Washington from the Big 12 jump ship and joined the Big Ten. So Mark Rogers is going to have a great breakdown of the Big Ten all conference all time. For example, it breaks down titles For example, Michigan leads the conference all time in 45 titles and 131 seasons. Ohio State is second with 40 and 114 seasons. Minnesota is third, 18 and 130. Illinois, Illinois is fifth, fourth, 14 and 130 seasons. Wisconsin, 14 and 130 seasons. We're talking about outright titles. Ohio State leads with 24. All-time winning percentage. Ohio State's leads all-time winning percentage. Most AP ranked. Numbers of times as number one AP. Ohio State leads in 2020. Bowl wins. USC with 36. You can't count all 36 because they were not all. They only been in the Big Ten since 2004. Talks about the CFP era, post 2000, post 1970, and conference winning percentage. So stay tuned for that. Mark Rogers' all conference all-time team, all-time list, and we'll be going on pretty soon. So stay tuned for that. But coming up next, we'll talk a little bit about Maryland Pro Day, which is happening today. Coverage on the Big Ten, website, Big Ten Network. Maryland has a few guys that show up, and let's take a look at this little post I saw from Facebook. It's Jalen Husky. He's doing his workouts on the Maryland Pro Day, and we're going to play that here now. All right. That was Jalen doing his work. The Maryland Day happened from college day, which is March 27th. March 27th, flying by. It's a 2020 Maryland Day is Friday, March 27th. Jones House, indoor practice featuring draft Terrapins, Girl Scouts. We just included Jalen Farouk, Jalen Husky, Elite Knots, evaluations, bringing the drills, 4-yard dash, vertical jump, according to reports from University of Maryland and social media coverage. Like I said, we had Jalen Farouk, Go, Alan Haran, Jalen Husky, Knots, Ryan Rice, Taylor Jr. Coverage was on the Big Ten Network. If you want to check it out, because the Big Ten Network shows everything you need to know about the Maryland Pro Day. So I wish I had more footage of the Maryland Pro Day, which I actually should have been to the Maryland Pro Day, but I had other prior engagements. And this is a good way for the Maryland Terrapins players to showcase their skills who were not invited to the combine, who might have had a poor combine, and can be like, hey, let me come to Maryland, check me out in familiar surroundings. Let me show you what I can do. Give me another opportunity to improve my stock. Maryland has not had this year is probably going to be the first time they don't have a day, at least a first 3-day person in the draft. They might get somebody in the 5th round, maybe some undrafted free agents, but it looks like Maryland's team overall, the best player who is in this draft is probably going to be Jalen Husky. And Jalen Husky is probably going to be a nickel back somewhere, slot back, safety, special teamer. He might be able to break to a lineup or his everyday rotation player, but he appears to be the best player of this draft class. And hopefully good luck to him moving in the future. And like I said, you can catch Maryland Terrapins live on your favorite audio platform, including Apple, Amazon, Google, and Spotify. The Voice of College Football is all new on Twitter. Join our ongoing conversation where I uplift you about the game we all love. There is no off season. We encourage you our host, to interact with our conversation starters on X. And tonight, it's still afternoon. It shows you have not had much sleep this week. We're going to talk a little bit about Maryland's games 9 through 13. And we are also going to talk a little bit about, let me get a little game back on here. Because I was trying to watch a little bit of women's college basketball. Maybe get a little golf action going on here. See what's going on with the world golf world. Maryland has a very tough stretch to finish the season off, starting with Illinois. History with the Illinois is all-time 2-2. Lost 2 straight against Illinois. Split the record on the road and home with 1-1 each. First time they played each other, Maryland won 63-33, which was their largest victory. Maryland won by 20-17. Last game they played, Illinois dog walked out of Maryland 24-6. Again, Maryland offense sputtered, only scoring 2 field goals, while Illinois scored a touchdown in the first, second, third, and finished off the game with a field goal in the fourth. That game saw the last game saw basically the Illinois offense was whatever they wanted against Maryland defense, and that was the first that ball Maryland under 500, 4-5. Illinois got back to got their ways, winning the game for them at 7-3 out of your conference. Following that, we have Maryland going to Purdue, going at Indiana, Purdue, the other Indiana school. It's like Purdue, it's like the other white beach. But Purdue is, I wouldn't say they're a juggernaut franchise. They're not what you consider a historically great franchise because, contrary to popular belief, they've beaten us twice. We beat them twice. First time we played Maryland defeated Purdue 24-7. The largest margin of victory was when Maryland won 50-7. Maryland's lost 2 straight. One in West Lafayette, 40-14, and again at home in 2022, 31-29. And in that game, Maryland was outscored in the fourth quarter, 14-2, which determines that 2-point loss to Purdue. Next game, Maryland goes to face. Wait for it. Drum roll, please. I should get a drum roll sound effect here. They face Wisconsin. Which was a win for the Maryland Terrapins last year as Wisconsin. Excuse me. Why am I tongue tied today? As Maryland defeated Wisconsin as in their first big matchup of the season last year in 2025, which gave everyone a false sense of hope in this team, as they basically held Wisconsin. Excuse me, bringing up the history here. That's why I thought right here. 27-10 as Maryland jumped up early, 7-0 the first, then at 13 in the second. Another 3 Wisconsin scored 3 in the third, and another touchdown in the fourth. But Maryland sealed the deal with another touchdown in the fourth. Historically, Maryland's 1-4 with Wisconsin, with our 1 win being last season. First matchup was in 2014, where Wisconsin beat Maryland 52-7. Wisconsin's pretty much, dog walked us every game until last year because Wisconsin was, I think they went through 3 quarterbacks last year, and neither of them were doing well for the team, including our former quarterback, Billy Edwards. But I believe the same thing's going to happen this year. Maryland's going to have a good chance to defeat Wisconsin again because Wisconsin has not done much to improve since then. And then let's go to the next one. It's going to be against the Trojans of USC. Maryland had a fantastic game against USC 2 years ago, I believe, when Maryland hosted USC. Yes, it was 2 years ago where Maryland defeated USC 29-28. U.S. historically, that's the only match between the two. Maryland 1-0 against one of the blue bloods of college football. Maryland won 28-29, a fantastic back and forth matchup where that was one of Talia Tagovailoa's best games of his career, and it was one of the few wins that Maryland had in the month of October as they defeated USC home in College Park. That game saw quite a few interesting tidbits. Like I said, we had Todd Phillips, who ended left our school as one of the all-time great receiver, had one heck of a game. Maryland had rushing yards, had a little bit more total yards as offense. They had 429 and 417. They made USC punt a lot. Defense was pretty good when it comes to preventing bad calls. So USC, Maryland, one more time. I don't think this is USC, your dad's USC. This isn't Carson Palmer, Matt Ryan, Reggie Bush. USC, this is the USC who's going to Big Ten, traveling. We're going to USC. We're going to California. So it could be interesting matchup going out to California. Last time Maryland's ever out to California, they laid eggs against UCLA. Kind of playing their useless cross-town rivals in USC, and we'll see how that turns out this year. The final game of the season is against Penn State at home, where Maryland has a grand total of 4 wins, 49 losses, and 1 tie against the Lions of Penn State. The first matchup was back in 1917. Wow. Where Maryland lost to Penn State 57-0. They won 9 the last 10 against Penn State, with their last victory being in 2020 at home, in University Park in Pennsylvania, defeating the Navy Lions 35-19. So it looks like if you look at the history, there's a lot of L's in that history between Penn State and Maryland, with one of the few. There's like Maryland's ever blown them out in one tie, back in 1989. So, and who knows what Penn State's going to show up, because they've had some changes over there, and Penn State might be ready to bounce back and beat the Penn State of old, because they aren't too far away from playing for the college football playoffs for a national title. So it's going to be an interesting season. What's going on with Penn State and what's going on with the Big Ten coming up. So, and like I said, this is a very quick show today. So I got my final thoughts on what's going on in college football. And that is, it's too early to say anything. We have not seen any calls. We have not seen any media press days. We've not seen any practice footage. We've not seen anything like that. So we want to wait and see till probably after April, maybe not in June, until we start getting some ideas of what's going on with college as a whole, and especially your Maryland Terrapins. Alumni of the school, I'm excited to be able to cover the coming this year and seeing if they are able to right the ship of being not having 30 executives for an 8 season. Somehow, wins and waves October and November, play in a bowl game. Go to the Music Bowl, man, Radio Bowl. Give me the Pop Star Bowl. I'm excited about the Pop Star Bowl. So, on that note, I am George. And like I said, you can catch Maryland Terrapins live on your favorite audio platform, including Apple, Amazon, Google, and Spotify. The Voice of College is all new on Twitter. Join our ongoing series of the game we all love. There is no off season. I all social media platforms at Charles Younger. That's CharlesNYONGA. And for those of you who are baseball fans, follow me at MLBGrow.com, where I'll be covering the best in black and brown American baseball players. I was in opening day last Thursday. Yesterday. It was perfect weather for baseball. It was 80 degrees. The snow was beating down here in the field. But it's talking to players such as Royce Lewis, Byron Buxton, Adley Rushman, some of the greats, who play the game. So follow me across for baseball content, follow me for football content, follow me right here at the Voice College Football. I have been Charles Younger. Thank you.